What's up, junkies? Welcome back in for another edition of Pigskin Junkies, the Christmas edition, I should say. Happy holidays. I'll be politically correct. No opening question. I was going to do one, but I was immediately shut down by the other two by saying, what do the people want? They want nice gifts wrapped underneath their Christmas trees in the shape of W's. So that is what we are going to do here. So
Not like Jameis Winston shaped W's.
Yeah, we're not eating those. So once again, Michael Larson with Jared Larson and Scott Panza on the show. What week is this of the Super Contest now? 16? So there you go.
Week 16. We are right there. Did you see the NFL actually posted that? A picture, a meme of Jameis licking his W fingers and saying the Bucs have missed the playoffs for like whatever it was, the 9th straight year. I was like, whoa. From the NFL account, I was like, savage move right there.
Mm-hmm. It's true, though.
But they deserve it because they suck.
And he is awful. He is awful. Terrible.
Well, that program is going to be a total. It was pretty funny. Some friends of mine were in an Uber car ride, and there's obviously a little bit of bias for myself and the friends that were in the Uber ride, but the guy was defending Jameis, saying, oh, he doesn't have an O-line, oh this, oh that. But then when we asked him what he thought about Peyton Barber, he said, oh, he's not an NFL starting quarterback, even though I think he's averaging like 3.5, almost 4 yards a carry, like kind of the only guy that does anything. And it's like, okay, if you say they have a bad O-line and he's still averaging that kind of yard, like the NFL average for yardage for a tailback, doesn't that kind of contradict itself? But
yeah, Jameis throws too many picks. That's all there is to it. He just turns the ball over way too much, but that organization is so terrible.
I imagine it's tough to rally the troops around Jameis Winston as well. Yes. Do you think the O-linemen and the wide receivers really are like, oh, you know what, Jameis, we believe in you to lead us to W's? There's no way that happens. No way that happens.
Yeah, no chance. I'm with you. So I will talk a little bit about the that was a terrible transition on my part, but I'm not a professional at this. So.
Block. Here's Block B, people. We're rolling into Block B.
Barf into Block B.
Yeah.
Where's my rundown, Micah? I still haven't seen it.
Yeah, well, it's been 2 years. You should know there's no rundown.
It's never coming. So here's the deal. A bunch of you mush faces are picking favorites a la Micah and are winning. So you guys know the drill. I stay on brand. I pick dogs. Dogs started out an epically cold pace in the bowl season. So I am 5-6. Our buddy Scott is 5-6, and Micah leads at least this little pack of wolves 8-2, and Blee here is 9-2. So I don't know who this person is, Blee, but they are tracking for a nice free bet, but we got quite a bit of ways to go. I think less than half the bowl games have been played. I really like Louisiana Tech later tonight, so in case you're picking this up, a little free piece of the candy. Louisiana Tech Bulldogs in the Hawaii Bowl tonight at 10:30 Eastern.
Must-watch television.
I felt real good about BYU.
At the back of his eyelids. Scott will be staring at the back of his eyelids for the beginning of that game.
I was betting on teams that if I liked their logos and cheerleaders, and it hasn't been panning out for me in this little contest, but I think I'm about to get hot. I really just got a feeling.
I will defend Scott and be like, I would ask him what team a conference is in. He's like, yeah, I don't know. So there's basically picking. He's like the lady in HR who picks the teams for the March Madness contest, just based on some crazy factor. So you're probably gonna win.
Arizona State let me down. I was really disappointed in them. I thought that was the biggest, lock universe. I guess I know nothing.
I had that one too. That's been my guy.
I think I had that one as well.
So hey,
anyhow,
it is what it is.
Barf into Block C.
Yeah. Give
the people what they want.
I'll tell you, we were caught by a Canadian squad rush to 112 XYZ, something like that.
Spider 2Y banana.
He was on the other side of the Cardinals-Falcons game where I thought I was getting a ton of value on Josh Rosen and David Johnson and the poor Falcons defense, and they storm out to the 7-0 lead. They are driving, and Josh Rosen does what Josh Rosen does, throws an ugly pick six, and the whole game script changed after that. And we were watching it down at the Ocean Club in Atlantic City, and we were none too thrilled to see something like that happen.
Yeah, Scotty, talk a little bit about going on the show with Lombardi. Yeah. I unfortunately had to miss because I chose to fly Spirit Airlines like a mush.
So I was on with Jonathan Van Tobel and Michael Lombardi betting across America on VSiN. And I did about 30 minutes with them running through my picks and some of my thoughts on the weekend slate. It was a great time. Lombardi's just the man. And JVT, great dude, was a ton of fun. I wish that I had a better weekend so I could have really, left my mark a bit better. Holistically, on the weekend, I pick every game. I went 6-10. I was lucky to go 3-2 in the Super Contest. A lot of my leans and if you listen to us last week, all my near misses, they were all losers. So it was we avoided disaster last weekend. We were really lucky.
I was going to say, you gave out 5 picks on the show, still went 3-2, which is 60%. So I don't know you can't pick 80% forever.
We're spoiled on this podcast, Jared.
Yeah.
We expect 80% or better. Yeah. That's what the listeners want. They want 80% or better. And I didn't give it to them last week. And then all my extra plays, they were all duds. I let the people down. I let my readers down. I let my listeners down. No one wants to rectify that more than I do this weekend because it is a massive weekend. It is a massive card for us. 10 picks left. The swings between first, second, and third are absolutely gross. Between first and second is $905,000. Between first and third is $1.1 million. So if you think I've slept well this week, you'd be actually very right. I have not been getting up with cold sweats in the middle of the night trying to decide what side I'm going to be on. But after a lot of reflection, reading, listening, I think we're locked and loaded on this weekend, and we're just going to have a monster weekend. It feels like 5-0 or 1-4, and I sure hope it's the former and not the So
it's a Pepto week.
It's a Pepto week.
I found the greatest GIF on the planet because Scott was like, "How do you feel about this week?" And there's a GIF of this guy literally pouring Pepto-Bismol all over his face. I'm like, that's how I feel.
Told me at the beginning of the year, this is the week 16 slate I'd be rolling on, and some of the teams I'm taking, I think you'd be very surprised. But the most difficult thing about this weekend is what teams are actually playing for something and what teams are shutting guys down for injury and not even making an effort. And either you just want to avoid those landmines or take the teams that really are playing for a lot versus the teams that they're going nowhere and they're either playing for jobs next year or they got nothing to play for. So let's rock and roll.
What we're targeting. I was going to say, you ready to go? You ready to jump into it here?
Roll. Let's kick it off.
You don't have any fancy mouthpiece here, just a Skype. Sorry, we don't have like the
Britney production. Spears little headset there.
Let me say, Scotty, you look like $1 million on that show, buddy.
Oh, you did look good. You look like you know what you're doing.
The Italian Stallion was ready to go.
On TV, I have way more gray hair than I'd like to believe, but it really shone through on that broadcast. So I wasn't too happy about that.
I'm glad I didn't have the stones to break your heart, but I was like, ooh, you came on there. Like, whoa, a few grays there.
I don't know what it is, but
a couple of the angles, I'll defend you. A couple of the angles actually looked worse than what it is in like real life. I was like, why?
Well, it can't be the way the light hits the head, too. I mean, you got dark hair, so it can kind of shine right off.
You definitely got some more after this week.
Oh man!
And you might be white lightning by the end of next weekend.
Oh man! At least I still have all my hair. I'm not bald yet, so let's look at the bright side.
Half full.
Let's rock and roll into the week 16 slate. We are jumping right on the Saturday first game. Tennessee Titans -9.5 against the Washington Redskins. If you watched any of Jags Yeah, Jags Redskins last weekend, and I don't know why you would have, because it was ugly. But Josh Johnson looked awful. Awful. And the only quarterback that was worse was Cody Kessler, and he is awful. So you had two very bad quarterbacks going up against each other, and it was a puke fest 16-13 final. And still the Jags were leading. It was 13-3 in the fourth quarter, and miraculously the Skins won the game. But the most
huge 3rd and 18. Huge.
The most glaring weakness for the Redskins, and they have 3 guys on their offensive line that are on IR. Well, their O-line is so banged up. So the Tennessee Titans, what do? Their front 7 is stacked, and they get after the quarterback. You see how they made Eli Manning look last week? Same deal this week. This is a game that plays to the strengths of the Titans. Their defensive front is going to get after Josh Johnson, who's not going to be making very big plays down the field where the Titans are weak. And also, what the Titans have been doing really well, they run the ball. No one wants to be stopping Derrick Henry on a short week when you got not too much to play for because you really don't have a realistic shot at the playoffs. Titans, I'm expecting them to just steamroll down the Skins today. Another big Derrick Henry game. Another thing probably overlooked last week, Cody Kessler ran all over the field on the Skins. So their defensive front is weak. They don't stop the run. They're not stopping a running quarterback like Mariota. They should be extending drives. They should leave themselves with short fields because the Skins cannot move the ball on them. I'm expecting a big win from the Titans today. Lock and loaded, put it in your teasers, put it in all your bets. Love the Titans. Then we are moving to the Sunday slate. I cannot believe I am doing this, but I have to. You're not going to see a bigger Patriots fan than me, Scott Panza. I'm a massive Tom Brady fan. I'm a massive Bill Belichick fan. Everything about this team I love. But I can't justify laying 13 points in division to a team that's going to exploit the weaknesses of the Patriots very well. We have a slow linebacking core. So if Josh Allen gets into space, he should be able to extend drives. Also, our secondary, beyond Stephon Gilmore, not a lot there. Jason McCourty, I know his Pro Football numbers or Pro Football Talk numbers are really good, but they really don't know who they're going to key on in the secondary. The Bills are playing with a lot of heart right now. They're playing for McDermott. They got young guys in there that are hungry to prove themselves. 13 points is just too big a number for a week off or an offense that doesn't look like themselves in December. Also, Tom Brady's splits in December the past 5 seasons, all on the decline. So,
I agree.
13 points. I can't believe I'm going to be this conflicted, but I've been riding the Bills. I've been telling all the listeners, we're huge Bills fans. This is a great spot for them. I honestly think it's a field goal game. It wouldn't surprise me if the Patriots lost. And I know Dave Portnoy, El Prez, he'll say when I'm most nervous about the Patriots, it's when I bet on them. I really have a similar mindset, but this isn't the spot for them. Too many points in division, end of the season. Bills playing hot. We're taking the 13. We're rolling with the Bills. And nobody, Jared,
circles
wagons like the Buffalo Bills.
You see they just signed Matt Barkley to a 2-year extension?
I did see that. That is just a dream right there, right?
That was like an immovable force meets unstoppable object or whatever. I might have mixed it up. I don't care.
I assume he's married, but I'm sure his wife is just thrilled about moving from California to Buffalo.
I don't think she's probably like, I'm staying here with the kids. You're asking about Buffalo for the season.
But similar with and now off subject, but JJ Redick had to move from LA and he's now playing in Philly, and his wife is like, you know what? I'm not moving to Philly. I'm moving to Philly.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. They're like Philly.
Next up, speaking of Philly, you're right. Speaking of Philly, I was watching every snap of Texans-Jets last weekend. We got the miracle cover on the Texans, and I talked about it on the show. But right during that game, I was texting Jared, and I was saying, Deshaun Watson against pressure looks awful. He makes bad decisions. He takes bad sacks. Well, the Jets don't really have much of a pass rush, but you know who does? The Philadelphia Eagles. DeAndre Hopkins, banged up. Lamar Miller, doubt he plays. So their 2 most important offensive pieces are either banged up or not playing. They have an awful offensive line versus a very strong Eagles pass rush. Now, I think this is going to be a little bit of a popular play just because how good the Eagles looked last week. But another thing that really makes me like the Eagles is where are the Texans very weak? Their secondary is awful. They let Robbie Anderson go nuts last week. So this is a week. Alshon Jeffrey and Nick Foles, I don't get it, but they have a connection. And I'm expecting a big Alshon game. I'm expecting a big game from the Eagles. You know what's Monday? Christmas Eve. So everyone going to that Eagles game, those rabid Eagles fans, they ain't going to work on Monday. So they will be getting that tailgate started at a brisk 6 a.m. They are going to be all in on this one. Their playoffs hopes are in sight. Eagles. And one thing that we've been very successful at this in the contest is picking home favorites. I'm picking like 80-something% on home favorites this season. So Eagles locked and loaded.
Yeah, I think I looked at this game long and hard, wound up not playing it because of where my positioning is, and I agree with Scott. I think it's going to be pretty heavily played, so I stayed away just purely based on that. But I think you look at the sequencing. If Philly's able to jump out to a lead here, I think you see Houston pack it in. They got a 2-game lead with 2 to go, and they get Jacksonville and the aforementioned Cody Kessler at home next week. So I think just kind of the way the schedule breaks down, I could see them saying, "Hey, we're down 2 scores, couple scores. Let's pack it in."
And I think they're going to struggle. I know that the Eagles secondary is problematic, but unlike what the Jets couldn't do last week because they have terrible coaching, you just got double DeAndre Hopkins to let anyone else beat you because Watson and Demaryius Thomas don't have the connection yet, and Kiki QT, he's been banged up all season, so who knows if he even goes, and if he does go, how impactful he will be. Next up, another game. Talk about littered with injuries.
Micah's going to like this one.
Micah, you're going to love this one. We are back on the Minnesota Vikings.
That was an ass whooping last week. Felt real great. Listen to Paul Allen on the slopes.
That was fantastic. They looked great last week, and Kirk Cousins did make one bonehead play, but their defense is just fantastic. And that's what I really love about this game is the Vikings defense. They played the Lions earlier this season, held them to 9 points, and that was with Kerryon Johnson playing in a full workload, and that was with Marvin Jones playing. So they couldn't really get anything going when they had their stars there. So they're really relying on Zach Zenner right now and Kenny Golladay and a bunch of nobodies. Even Bruce Ellington is going to be out. So offensive weapons aren't there. So the Vikings should be getting short fields. Also, what have the Lions been doing so great this year since getting Snacks? Harrison stopping the run. Well, Snacks Harrison was out of practice all week. He's doubtful for the game. I don't think he goes. And even if he goes, how impactful is he going to be on the game? Because he's playing on a bad ankle. So I'm expecting a big Dalvin Cook game, a big game for the Vikings. I know it's a road favorite, but -5.5. I'm all in on the Vikings. We've been nailing that team all season. I stayed off them when I thought they were in tough spots, but this is a great spot for them. They're playing for a lot. They're still playing for the playoffs. We're all in on the Vikings. If Snacks Harrison's out, that line's going to jump even more. Hammer that one. Hammer it, hammer it, hammer it. We love the Vikings.
Micah's boy, Zach Zenner.
Jared's alma mater right there. Egan High School grad.
Oh,
Egan
really?
High School.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's good.
Yeah, he's going.
I'm surprised he doesn't get more snaps. Or it's taken him so long in the season to get snaps. Like, he's been playing well, but they have too many issues there, and Stafford's all banged up, and what are they playing for? They're not playing for anything. As long as Darius Slay doesn't get some fluky pick six, and Kirk Cousins is very prone to doing it. Looked at it last week. Darius Slay is my one concern for this game because he's still playing, and he's a beast. He's an absolute monster, one of the best corners in the game.
I will say, go ahead, Jared, and then I'll say my thing.
After you, Jared.
Yeah, I think if Stafford is out, obviously that's a significant move, and we'll be on the right side of the line here if that happens. I think their backup is Matt Castle, of all people.
We love Matt Castle.
Yeah.
This guy loves Matt Castle.
He's just stuck.
I think he's played for half of the league.
Yes. It's like Gus Frerotte. It was great. So Scotty had his little Patriots rant. I'm going to do my Vikings one real quick. and this was a theory a friend of mine and I had, and that it would be the most Minnesota thing in the history of the universe to go out after firing their offensive coordinator and just look explosive at home against the Dolphins in a must-win game, than to go on the road with the Bears following afterwards, which will potentially be for basically a repeat of what year was that, like 2012, when they played the Packers the last week and then had to play them in the wild card game again the next week. To where so depending on how the Bears shake out, that could happen as well. But it'd be such a Vikings thing to do, is just crush the Dolphins, go to Detroit where it should be a no-brainer, and then just absolutely lay a goose egg. It is a Minnesota Vikings almost stamp, but I'm hoping with Zimmer we haven't really seen that yet, because we haven't been in this situation. So I'm with you, Scotty, on this one. I'm feeling confident that Zimmer's not going to let anyone overlook anybody.
I heard that, so through following all the beat reporters, they were supposed to have Monday off from practice, and the players like, no, we're coming in, we're practicing on Monday, we're getting after it for this weekend. So they know what's at stake. And it's a great point, because next weekend with the Bears, is it in Detroit? Is it in Minnesota? Or
it's in Minnesota.
Bears coming into town. I mean, you can't let down this week, because if you lose this week, everyone's on their heels. So I think that they're motivated and they're not going to lay an egg. And the Lions, you have to question their motivation right now. I mean, they just went to Buffalo and blew that one, or lost that one. They didn't blow it. But, where's the motivation there? I just don't see it. But they've been good at home, and they've burned us a couple times this year. So, but I think we're feeling very comfortable with the Vikings.
Going against the Pats and Patricia. Ooh. Yeah. Ooh.
I know, right? I know.
He's on Vrabel, though.
Yeah, that's fair.
You had to have a little bit.
Last game, it may be public, but the line has moved so much. And you want to talk about motivation. There is no bigger motivation than the Cleveland Browns this weekend with Hugh Jackson coming back to town. I was watching an interview with Jabril Peppers earlier this week, and he was talking about how the Bengals were saying some really disrespectful things to them out in the field the last time they played. And that was the time that they cooked them on the road 35-20. We were all in on that one. Remember that one, Jared? I do. It was the game. I was at Jets-Pats, and we had a monster game.
I do remember
monster
that.
weekend that day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this team is motivated. They want to go stick it to Hugh Jackson. And I know the number is massive. I can't believe I'm laying more than a touchdown with the Cleveland Browns. But Freddie Kitchens is coaching for head coaching jobs and head coaching interviews. Greg Williams coaching for his job and wants to stay the head coach. Baker Mayfield wants to go stick it to Hugh Jackson. And Marvin Lewis seems to be resigned to he's not going anywhere, which doesn't make sense. Jeff Driscoll, I know we're Jeff Driscoll podcast here, but he looked awful last week.
He has not played well. There's
one of his favorite weapons, Tyler Boyd, is out this weekend. John Ross is apparently a go, but he's all banged up. So they're very limited. They have a very bad offensive line. They have a ton of injuries there. This is a big Myles Garrett game. This is a big game for the Browns. They want to go prove something this weekend. Lay the massive number. I know it's going to be public. It's such a public play. People are going to be hammering this one. Feel completely comfortable because Jeff Driscoll's awful. They don't have the coaching staff to really motivate these guys. Lay the number.
The Cincinnati defense is terrible.
Awful. Big Nick Chubb game coming. They cannot stop the run. Big Nick Chubb game coming.
Yeah, they gave up how many to the Raiders? What was the score of that game last week? They let the Raiders run all over them. I don't look stats up. Not great podcasting here, but that
was a game the Raiders came out so slow. I was very happy to fade that one. I thought it was a bad spot for the Raiders. Played slow, and they were still in that game. The Bengals, if they had, any grit, they would have smoked that one out. But they did win. The scoreboard said it was bigger than it really was, though.
Agreed. Yeah, 16. Let's see here. Box score. And, whatever. Doesn't really matter. The picks are locked.
That's the locked and loaded. Now, the near misses. The near misses are, I wanted to do it. I am 6-1 betting against the Jets this year. I'm 2-0 betting on them. One team I know, for whatever reason, is the New York Jets, and I wanted to hop on them this weekend. I really did. If it was a 3, it probably would have been in the slate and bump out the Eagles. But it was 2.5. I can't do it. But this is the Todd Bowles' last home game as head coach for the Jets. I'm expecting them to play very hard for him. I know Aaron Rodgers is playing, but he's got a bad groin. The Jets were a near miss, and I think they go win this weekend. I couldn't stomach doing it because their defensive coordinator is just so bad. They let DeAndre Hopkins go nuts last week, and they have no other weapons. They weren't doubling him, so I can't trust a defensive coordinator who is bad in that. The next was the Ravens. The thing that scares me about the Ravens is they're on a short week traveling west, and the Chargers are on extended rest. And they need to stay hot because the Chiefs can easily lose Sunday night, and then they're the 1 seed. Their defensive ends are athletic enough to contain Lamar Jackson, I think.
Yeah, I would. So if you look at the last, Scott, sorry to jump in there, Scott. I would say if you look at the 4 teams that the Ravens have played since Lamar Jackson has been the quarterback, home against the Raiders, at the Falcons, at the Chiefs, home against the Buccaneers. What's the common theme amongst those 4 teams?
Worst run defenses in the league.
That's correct. And Lamar Jackson obviously is able to exploit that. The Chargers' front 7 is significantly better than any of the previously mentioned 4 teams. We had, to your point, Scott, I think we had initially talked about Ravens early on in the week, and as I started to think about it more and more, was glad to see. I mean, listen, maybe Lamar Jackson is a transcendent talent, and he's able to beat him, and that's what it is, but that was kind of the breaking point for me, making it a near miss as well.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And then the last one was Seattle Seahawks. We love Russell Wilson on this podcast.
Our boys.
2.5. I think they've covered the last 11 games where they're home dogs, getting 2.5 or more. The problem with the Seahawks is both their safeties are probably not playing. They have a ton of injuries on both sides of the ball. If this number was a 3, this is probably another one that I take, but I just couldn't swallow. I couldn't take the 2.5. I think it's a field goal game either way, and I just didn't have enough conviction in them. Their defense has been struggling the past few weeks, and I think Mahomes on the road in prime time, I think it's a problem. He hasn't looked great in those spots, but their defense is just too shaky right now, and with the injuries, I just couldn't do it.
I think it'll get to 3 by game time, so just keep that in mind, listeners. It is the Sunday night game, and the aforementioned Monday morning is Christmas Eve, and hopefully none of you are working, or at least few of you are working, so you can stay up and enjoy that entire game. What?
I'll be working Sunday or Monday morning.
I'll be in the office as well. At least it's
Who are you people?
1 o'clock. Someone's got to be there, Jared, to hold down the fort.
I'll be sleeping.
Somebody's got to make money.
I'll be Well,
Enjoy
it's
that,
not going to be me.
Rub it in.
I'll take. I thought you guys for sure had the day off. Wow.
Oh no!
I'm shocked.
No. I'm actually fired up.
Good.
We're gonna sing Christmas carols in the office. It's gonna be great.
I'll put Jared on blast. I sent it in the family group text message. So, Mom, if you're listening, which I know you used to back when we had 3 listeners, but now you probably don't. But Jared clearly doesn't read the family group text message. I'm sorry.
What does it say?
I said I work Monday.
Oh,
which is our
shows you how much
birthday.
attention I pay.
So, yeah.
They're doing something today. Anyways, we don't have to divulge Scott and all the family juice, or the listeners for that matter. All right, Scott and Mike, I'll ask you both. We got 2 Pepto specials for Week 16, and I'm gonna put a gun to your head and make you pick a side.
Ooh, the gun to your head's back.
This is gun to your head segment back. Barfed it into Block D.
Barf and D's never go good together.
Pause. Falcons -3.5 at the Panthers. No Cam Newton. Mikey, you go first.
Who is even playing quarterback? Because didn't the
Taylor Henneke out of Old Dominion, 3rd-year guy.
ODU. Was that when they were D1 or right before they went D1?
Oh.
Well, I guess I'm asking the wrong guy here.
Yeah, I was gonna say Scott probably thinks Old Dominion's playing for their conference championship this week. It would have been pre D1. He would have been a senior when they were the last year of 1AA.
So this is, what did you say, -3 at Carolina?
3.5.
Yes, 3.5.
Whatever. I'll just go Falcons because they looked awful last week. The Panthers, that is, and without Cam Newton on offense, apparently backups are incapable of hitting checkdowns to Christian McCaffrey or like all these running backs. Like I figured a checkdown throw was the easiest, but I've been shown over and over again that it's really hard. So if they can't get the ball to McCaffrey, they can't win. They can't score.
Scotty?
No. I'm luckily that the Falcons have the worst linebacking core against receiving running backs. I'd be taking the 3.5, and I'm sure we're going to be huge Falcons fans this week, and I think there's going to be a lot of people on the Falcons laying that number against Taylor Heineke. I don't think the Falcons travel well. I don't think Julio Jones plays. I don't like Dan Quinn, Steve Sarkisian.
Oh,
garbage.
Sorry. I just don't trust him on the road. And Taylor Heineke, he has all the motivation in the world to go prove himself. So, field goal game, I'm hoping, and Panthers win or cover.
Sark's drinking in the locker room again.
If you watched Jacksonville, Washington last week, this game is going to be a repeat of that. It's going to be absolutely barf central, like a 13-10, 16-13, 17-16, something like that. I actually watched every minute of that Saints-Carolina game. There is something not right with Cam Newton. And that defense is stacked. Home game, divisional, even Captain Munnerlyn looked good last weekend. I think they'll be able to rein in the Falcons offense. I think, Mikey, you're right. I don't see them scoring a ton of points. Which is why I see this game in the mid-teens. Maybe the under would be a play that I would look at.
You know what's annoying is I have Christian McCaffrey in both my fantasy football finals. So if he can just go off.
You're in both finals? That's impressive, Scott.
Well, I'm in 7 leagues, Jared. So it's not that impressive, and it's my least competitive leagues on both ends. So I'm actually really sadsies about how the fantasy season went.
#sadsies.
Scott's a big fantasy football player.
Oh, my God. It's just so frustrating because I was all in on Mitch Trubisky, and he nailed it. And then come playoff time, I was long Melvin Gordon. He was out. Just like a ton of injuries hit me at the worst time. So I'm just not happy how this
right there is precisely why I don't play fantasy football. Scott was banging the drum on Mitch Trubisky, and I was banging the drum on Patrick Mahomes preseason. Like, nailed it on the screws and still just no payoff, which is so stupid because there's so much volatility and so much luck with the injuries.
And like right now, like all the leagues are swinging on like Damian Williams. Did you have enough dollars to get him? And did you get like Kalen Ballage this week or Jamal Williams? Like it's kind of silly, and I'm with you, but it's just so much fun and it captivates me every week. But not so much anymore. I could really give a shit.
Yeah, I was gonna say not this year.
Yeah, we'll pass.
We'll play the daily stuff.
Yeah.
All right, Pepto game number 2 of the week. Bears -4 at 49ers. I could easily do 3 of these, but we'll keep it to 2.
Do the third, dude. I love it. And I think, you know what? I'm going to be the square side on this one. I like the Bears. The 49ers have covered a couple straight games at home against Seattle and Denver the week before. I know Nick Mullins has looked good, but this is a real defense. And I know that Trubisky and the Bears offense hasn't traveled so great this year, but there's potential for them to still get a first-round bye. The Rams are not playing very well, so they still have motivation. Mm-hmm. So I'm on the square side. I know the sharp money's on the Niners. I just don't buy it. I just don't buy it. Nick Mullins has carved up some bad defenses the past couple of weeks. Like the Seahawks looked awful last week. And by the way, that game was so frustrating because Pete Morelli just had it out for the Seahawks. They called some awful, awful penalties in the secondary.
Yeah, they did.
In the end of the fourth quarter. I was screaming at the sports book. I'm sure they wanted to kick me out, but no, I don't buy the Niners. they've been home dogs 2 straight weeks at 4 points, and the Bears are significantly better than the Broncos. So I think it's overreaction. I'd be on the Bears.
Yeah, Scott clearly stole all my notes because
I'm sorry.
I'm joking.
Once I get going, Micah, I'm sorry.
Once he gets going, look out, baby.
Jared knows I usually don't sniff the NFL games. I just sit down on the couch and watch. And to hint on the fantasy football thing, I've been trying to get out of the game for a while because I hate sitting down. And I kind of told you this when you picked the Seahawks, but I hate sitting down on the couch and having to cheer for like Matt Stafford to throw 2 touchdowns, but the Vikings to still win. I don't enjoy that very much. So
Too conflicted.
exactly. But for this one, I think everything Scott said is true. And like Jared said earlier in the podcast, I'm just going to tie it all in. I love favorites. Favorites are my friend. So I'm going with Chicago.
Micah on a steady diet of points right now, just eating the points.
'Tis the season to consume.
All right, listeners.
I'll do the
take
last
out a
crypto special. I'll take it for 20 seconds.
Yeah, no, I got to answer mine and tell all the people that they should reverse mortgage their house on the San Francisco 49ers because I too
Oh, shit.
like the Bears. It's the holy trifecta. Holy shit. Double down the other way.
Hallelujah.
I think Khalil Mack might sack Nick Mullins 8 times in this game. Like, he is just going to absolutely feast. And I really like the way that the linebackers for the Bears have with Raekwon Davis. I think he's going to shut down George Kittle, which has been Nick Mullins' super safety blanket. So I don't see them really running the ball against the front 4. And then I expect the linebacking crew to be able to cover the tight ends really well. So Pepto Special, number 3, because this is going to be Christmas Eve, and we know that you're all going to be sitting around the tree opening gifts, watching the great gift that Father Goodell has given us. Broncos and Vance Joseph, -3 at the Fighting Nathan Petermans. Oakland, soon to be San Francisco, soon to be Las Vegas Raiders. This game is barf central. 43 is the total.
Oh.
Who wants to go first?
Yeah.
I think in my weekly write-up, I wrote Broncos, Raiders, puke, pass. But gun to my head, I guess I'm taking the Raiders home dog. I don't know why. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, if you like,
Do you think Peterman gets in the game?
I hope so. I want to see him.
I think that's why, yeah. People would watch solely because they want to see if Peterman's going to get in. Because the NFL community cannot believe that actually happened. It happened.
This is battle of 2 guys who are proof positive that there's idiots in the NFL, that these 2 have head coaching jobs.
Yeah, but one has a 10-year, $100 million contract, and the other one will be fired when this game's over or after next week.
I'm sure John Gruden's going to earn every cent of that $100 million.
Unbelievable. All right, so Scotty's got Raiders +3. Micah?
Nom 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 nom. Delicioso. So, whatever. We'll just go with Case Keenum and the Broncos.
Steady diet. I will also take the Raiders. Laying any amount of points with Vance Joseph as head coach to me is absolutely untenable. This guy, 4th and 1 from inside the 5 down, kicks a field goal. Like, what are you doing, dude? Use your brain.
I think he was trying to get fired.
He must be trying to get a buyout. Terrible coach. I mean, if you're John Elway, think of the hours, days, years spent building a team, and then you have someone a head coach just go and mush it away like that. So it's got to be an awful feeling. I will take the Raiders. It's not going to be any fun, but as I said, most people will be consuming a little special sauce on Monday night, Christmas Eve. They're going to be looking to have a little taste.
Eggnog.
So we're trying to guide you. I feel like the under is just a lock at 43.
Who knows? Who knows?
So the big rumor
I want to
this
see the
week.
guys at the Super Contest who take this one.
Oh, people are just trying to scratch claw and get back in the picture.
So here's the theory. I actually almost took Raiders in the Super Contest because of exactly what you're talking about. Like, nobody is going to want any part of this game, and I think it was 2.5, which makes it even grosser.
Mm-hmm.
This almost certainly will be the lowest selected game.
Yep.
Well, speaking of the Broncos, the big rumor was that Cousins told Shanahan that if he did become the Broncos head coach, he would have signed out there.
No idea.
Thoughts, comments, concerns? None.
Kirk got paid.
I'm sad that Kirk Cousins can't play outdoors in bad weather more because it's just ripe to bet.
Doesn't make me richer.
Exactly. But, Detroit in that dome, 1 o'clock slate. So
say-
we're all comfortable on Kirk Cousins in that position.
1 o'clock dome games the next 2 weeks, not on national television.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
Ooh, yep. Oh, on the way out, do we have a prediction on what's the Sunday nighter next Sunday? I know
There
what
isn't
I
one.
think is locked and loaded.
I don't think they do one. Don't week 17, they all have them like...
Week 17, there's going to be one game that they flex to the Sunday Night Football.
Packers and Vikings got flexed there a couple of years ago.
It'll be whatever the NFC East is.
I remember vividly a Redskins-Cowboys game that Tony Romo puked up one against RG3, and RG3 got into the playoffs his rookie year. I had a few shekels on that one that went and burned into the ether.
I think it's going to be Dolphins-Bills. It's going to get flexed into the Sunday night slot. It's probably going to be, the Eagles play the Redskins. So it could be Cowboys-Giants. Depends on some of the outcomes. Oh, no, Giants are out of it.
Colts, Titans, locked and loaded. Both teams win this
Ooh.
weekend. Ravens lose. Winner of that goes to the playoffs.
I like
There
that.
you go. Scotty got it nailed down. Lock it in. So who do you think? Well, actually, that might give away some information for next week. So we'll keep that up. We'll keep that
one
close to the
because
vest.
those are two favorites of us.
Yes, agreed.
Now, if that does happen, if that does shake out, Scott will be losing lots of sleep next week.
Oh, my.
Not
I
knowing
want
who
to
to
lose
pick.
all the sleep. Give me no sleep.
Give me no
Yeah,
sleep.
hashtag team no sleep.
Yeah.
10
So,
more picks, guys. We are rocking and rolling. We're super pumped to see all the selections at 3 o'clock. And then we're going to be right in 4:30. We'll be taking it in at a nice pub and watching.
Oh yeah, what are the plans for game day?
Well, tomorrow I'm going to be in the torture chamber. That is my my living room with my wife, watching football, pacing around so she thinks I'm a psychopath. And then today I'll be out with
In my
somebody.
torture chamber.
I mean, I'm pretty sure all my games end at 1.
oh boy.
I'm double checking. Yep, everything will be over at 4 something. So that is my day. Just torture myself. Yep, all at 1 o'clock. So right
Red
around
zone?
4:30, you'll either see a great meme or a really sad GIF. I don't know what's the difference between the two.
One of the two. We're going 4-1 this week. I can feel it.
That's our first T-shirt idea right there. Sadsies.
5-0, Jerry. 5-0.
All right, so we will give the recap here real quick. Scott picks Titans, Bills, Eagles, Vikings, Browns. Titans, Bills, Eagles, Vikings, Browns.
So that's gonna do it.
Get winners.
What's yours, Jared?
Oh yeah.
My picks are Bills, Panthers, Giants, Cardinals, Seahawks. This
Oh
is
my
barf
God.
central, folks.
That
We needed
is
to get some
barf.
we needed some low-owned games. We're really fishing here. I think I'm in like 400th place, which sounds like a lot, but I think I'm like 3 or 4 points outside the money. And at this point, with only 10 selections left, we needed to start making some moves. So, as I said, I very seriously considered the Raiders. Didn't wind up happening. I am actually picking 58.5%. So, sadly, that's not good enough to be the best on this podcast, but is good enough to pat the bank account a little bit. But, yeah, we'll be going with those. I agree with Scott. Sorry to the listeners. You're just getting this now. As soon as Scott said he had the Bills locked in earlier this week, I backed up the truck with my local guy, and looking forward to getting that done tomorrow morning. Tomorrow afternoon, I suppose.
Pats win by 3.
Or 7. Didn't even take 7.
Yeah, whatever.
That'd be I was like, or 10.
I just don't want to sweat. So if it can just be 3 and it's like a Gostkowski kick with 20 seconds left, I'll be like,
I tell you what, they keep playing like they have been the last couple of weeks. They could lose.
Yeah.
Scott's very upset. I don't want to.
Yeah. So with that, Scott, I'm reading body language here. With that being said, we're gonna wrap up the show once again. I'm Michael Larson. That's Jared Larson. That's Scott Panza, bringing you Pigskin Junkies Week 16 of the Super Contest. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to drink your Ovaltine. We're out of here.
See ya.